heart attack. Fast, fatal, heart impact. Past painful scars, in fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new submerged juice. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out, remember you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kyusho here, and now, before we do continue, let us give a brief little review. Now, in the last part, we focused a bit more on Izuku and Katsuki. Now, we focused on these two because of the problem they were having in the world they found themselves in. They were the only humans left alive. And then they discovered somebody else was there in that world. It would turn out to be another version of Deku. And after he confronted them, they jumped to a different reality after Bakugo put him down with 3 bullets. Now, Deku, when he jumped into that world, he was still injured from being shot with an arrow. And after possessing this version of himself, he found himself to still be injured. Now, with that being said, Deku, he found himself in a military uniform, and he was in a crowded room with a ton of people in the exact same clothing as him. All of a sudden, he stood up and tried to move. Then somebody recognized an injury on him, and then he collapsed. Now, with that being said, we actually have Azumi, who, she was just inside that room not too long ago. And right now, she actually does hear about it a bit of time later. She went to go for a walk, trying to process and understand everything that has happened. I mean, it just seems so crazy. First, she was in, a fantasy world, then there was the 2077 world, and now here. And she may have just gotten split up from Bakugo. At first, it was all 4 of them, her best friend and then their counterparts, but now it's just her. She literally ran into this version of Izuku, and it wasn't the one she was familiar with. Now, with that being said, there actually was, whenever Azumi, she was told about an injury in an incident that happened with her brother, and she went to go visit him. It would seem suspicious if she was not there, especially after what may have already happened. Now, whenever she walked into the room, she found Izuku. And Izuku, yeah. She could tell automatically he was acting different. There was the look on his face. And the fact was, he stared at her with quite a bit of surprise. And she went to go sit down and ask him the same question again. Is it him? Izumi? Are you from another reality? Yeah. Holy shit. We found each other again. Yeah, it's been a while. It sure has. I just went through some crazy shit. I heard. Doctor said you were stabbed. Shot with an arrow, yeah. You were shot with an arrow. Oh yeah, by another version of myself, apparently. Really? So, like that crazy shit with the robots? Yeah, but this guy was fucking crazy. I mean, balls to the wall is the craziest motherfucker I've ever seen. How so? Sword in his arm, a robotic prosthetic, an eye patch, and no remorse in the fact that he could kill me. Apparently he's also killed everybody close to him. And his world was apocalyptic from what I can understand. Wow. Yeah. That sounds like one I hope we can avoid. Now, Izumi should try to ask Deku exactly how long has he been gone? Because, well, her and Bakugo, they spent 2 years together. So you were with him? Yeah, I was. And you were with Bakugo, yeah. That's a little confusing. Right. Okay, so you guys were together for 2 years, right? We were together for 3, actually. Fuck. Now, the doctor would come walking to the room, and after they do that, Deku, he actually just watches the doctor. They are followed in by somebody. And Deku and Izumi, they are both quite surprised to see her. It's Bakugo. And she's wearing a military uniform as well. Okay, so this is starting to get strange. The uniform. It looks so weird. Not like one they've seen before. Now, Bakugo just come walking in. And after the doctor does try to inform Miss Midoriya about her husband's injuries, Bakugo, she does stare directly at Izuku and Izumi. And after the doctor does go to leave, she is going to turn back and look directly at both of them. Her smiling and asking exactly if they're both okay. Bakugo! Izumi jumping up, running over and hugging her best friend. And Bakugo, she has this good smile. And Deku, he does ask Bakugo exactly where the hell has she been. That's a long story. How long have you guys been here? Uh, that's hard to say. I just got here and my injury didn't heal. Yeah, I've been here for a minute. And now that you're mentioning it, Bakugo going to actually grab at her shirt and going to pull up the front of it. As you do actually see the scar from the stab wound she received in the fantasy world. Her talking about how this does at least have an explanation then. What is that? I got stabbed. Really? Yeah, it's honestly not as bad as it sounds. Now, all 3 of them, they're together. And right now, they're trying to recap everything. Okay, so Izumi and Izuku are both here. They popped in recently. And Bakugo, she is somewhat the outlier. She hasn't been here for just a few hours. She has been here for a few days. And right now she has tried to at least talk to them about what happened with Bakugo. Since apparently, in this timeline, she happens to be his cousin. Now, this does somewhat stand out. And Deku, he finds it to be odd. As Bakugo, yeah. Shortly after a call does happen, he does come walking to the room. And Bakugo, he does seem very distant. However, he does get a somewhat smile seeing his best friend. As for he does go to walk over, he does ask Izuku exactly how the hell has he been. Now, the grand reunion does happen. And later, Izuku, he is discharged from the military wing of the hospital. Now, a lot of people are asking questions about exactly how Deku got injured. He was on base and surrounded by soldiers. And right now this isn't really a good look for anybody, since there are a lot of allegations being thrown around. Since most people right now are believing in a spy. It's the only way to explain why a military officer would be attacked and why it took so long to discover they were injured in such a public place. Now, a lot of people, they're throwing allegations back and forth, trying to discover who and what the threat they might be facing exactly is. And right now there is actually where Deku, him and the other 3 do pull up to a house. And after they do go to get out, they all do go inside and try to get things settled. This world is very different. It experienced its own catastrophe. However, shortly afterwards, the generations that followed the catastrophe, they banded together. And they have wiped it out. Ever since then, the world, they've been a lot more militaristic. And that does say quite a bit. Humanity, they dealt with threats from the stars. At one point in their past, it almost drove their species to extinction. However, humanity, they bounced back from the brink of death and came back stronger than ever. Now, the four, they would walk into the house, and whenever they do, Bakugo, she is trying to explain quite a few things about this place. And right now, it does seem to be very interesting. Sensuzuku, he is told by Bakugo that this is their place. And Bakugo, or Katsuki and Izumi, they do go inside. Bakugo talking about how she wants to stay back for a second and talk to Izuku about something. Now, Deku, he was quite surprised. He went to go turn to Bakugo, since she was driving. And the moment he did go to turn to her, she just going to stare directly at him and give him a kiss. And that shocked him for a second. As after Bakugo pulled away, she just going to so much stare at Deku. And Deku, he was just frozen there for a second, surprised. As he did just go to bring his hand up, and with his glove, wipe off his lipstick. Now, Bakugo, she asked Izuku if he still remembers that one world. Huh? Yeah, why did you... Yeah, sorry. I wanted to make sure it was real. You mind explaining? Yeah, okay. I don't... This is so weird. I like you. Oh. Well, that is weird. Yeah. And that's not even the weirdest part about this timeline. We're married here. I'm sorry? Yeah. We're married. And there's a wedding photo inside. This reality is very much strange. Right. Deku gonna turn and get out of the car. However, just before he does gonna put his foot down onto the ground, he is gonna turn back to Bakugo. Telling her that he needs time to process a lot of this. You do? Yeah. Bakugo, listen. This, Deku bring his hand up, pointing at himself and her, saying this, he does, well, got to process and think about, since there still is a little bit more he does need to think about as well. What do you mean? Bakugo, okay. Let's just put all this stuff out in the air right now. It's best if you know too. Okay. Whenever you shot the other version of me, I don't know what it was. A vision, a memory, a hallucination even, from watching the world outside just fade away. I remembered something. It was odd. They talked about being me, but they talked about being a god. Excuse me? Yeah. They said that we existed because of him. But that doesn't make sense. Okay, hang on a minute. You're saying we exist because of some version of you out there that's a god. Yeah, that about sums it up. Do you have any idea how crazy and egotistical that sounds? I do. However, we were in a fantasy world for 2 years where dragons existed. Then we were in a world where a nuclear war happened and we were hunted down by another version of myself, who was batshit insane. Okay, that's all fair. And right now, we're in a reality where apparently aliens are trying to send threats to kill us. Okay, yeah, no, it doesn't sound that crazy. Yeah. And, Bakugo? Her gonna turn back towards Deku, since she went to go reach for her own door handle. And the moment she's going to turn back to Deku, he actually is going to someone to bring his hand up and grabbing onto her chin. Him going to kiss her back. Now, Bakugo, she does quickly get to pull away, as Deku and her do go to step out of the car and walk inside. Now, Bakugo, she is trying to hide the fact that her face is a little red. And Deku, while he does feel a bit nervous, he actually does have more of a smile on his face than anything. Now, the two would walk inside, and Izumi and Bakugo, yeah. Right now, they are looking around to see exactly what this world does have, since they're quite curious. TV and movies and stuff like that, they stopped at a certain point after, what, 80, 90 years? They seem to have changed a bit. And that is where things do seem odd. Now, there is also the fact that the way things are set up, they see exactly how this reality is structured. Aside from Bakugo or Katsuki being, well, her counterpart's cousin slash sister, that's a different thing. And there's also the fact that they do see the wedding photos. As Izuku and Bakugo walk inside, the two do somewhat point out this strange thing and laugh a bit. Since Bakugo, he can be actually seen in one of the pictures. Now, there is actually Izumi, who does point out the fact that she is missing from one of the photos. And that does seem kind of strange. Now, Deku and Katsuki, both of these two, they do have one priority, however, since they are back in a world that is civilized. And right now, here is some of the current things running through their mind. They need some good seasoned food, properly cooked, properly tasting, and full of ingredients. And along with that, there also is another thing. They want some fresh showers, a nice hot shower, and then they want to relax. Since they just want to put that other world behind them for a minute and come back to civilization. Now, it is very obvious from what Bakugo and Izumi can see, these two, yeah, they seem to be very strange. However, Izumi was not fill him in, telling the male counterpart of Bakugo that they were stuck in a world with crappy food for a while. Now, Bakugo, he does hear a bit about it. As in the kitchen, Katsuki and Izuku are actually cooking. Before there actually is where Bakugo, she's going to turn after putting something into a pot and turning on the heat. Her talking about how this has plenty of time to cook and simmer. And it should actually help it a lot more with the flavor. As she's going to turn and bolt, talking about how she has the first dibs on the shower. Now, Deku, he is going to turn and see that. As while he was cutting something, he actually is going to turn and run after her, telling her like hell she does. Now, Deku and Bakugo, yeah, they do try to make a mad dash for the bathroom. And there actually is Bakugo and Izumi, who both the two, they did go to turn around for a minute and see the way the two were acting. And right now, it's kind of not hard to blame them. I mean, hell, in Night City, one of the worst things you can worry about is someone with cyberpsychosis breaking into your apartment and fucking murdering you. Here, that idea isn't really there. I mean, it could happen here, but let's just say not a lot of people will risk what that would involve. Since the fact is, most of the world here is militaristic, which means everybody owns a variety of weapons. And that's just the ones that most people, they might have and not have modified. Now, it does show quite a bit. The way the world is here, it's so peculiar to see. And that's what Bakugo and Izumi, they do both notice. As their actions were Deku, he does come walking out and into the kitchen, as he's going to bring his hands up to take off his shirt. And their actions were Bakugo, he was going to turn around and see Deku, who his hair is partially wet and his clothes are partially soaked. And Bakugo, he is going to say out loud to Deku that he needs to be careful with that stuff. What? Why? It's dry clean only. You can't be serious. Deathly. The underclothes you can get away with, but the other stuff you can't. It'll get seriously fucked up. You should have more in your closet. More of this stuff? Oh yeah. No, dude, like, it's insane. My closet has 10 pairs of the same uniform. And that's just of one of the styles. One of the styles? Oh yeah, no, civilian clothing and military clothing are different here too. How so? Well, I mean, granted you can go out in a robe and stuff like that, but I'd say you have to just look at what's in your closet. If it's there, you can wear it. And if it's not, then I don't know what to tell you. Go out and look for it. Listen, man, this place is weird. They're very serious about a lot of stuff. I mean, hell. You should see where I'm at. Yeah, exactly how long have you been here? I've been here for a little bit of time, but that's not important right now. Listen, this place is weird. So, you might want to start trying to remember things. Trying to remember things? Yeah, I mean, you exist here, and you have some stuff to look into. What was it? That one world, you regain your memory super fast. I did? Yeah. Good. So look at some stuff. Look around and see what you can find. You sound different. I know. I woke up and I was on a mission. I immediately had my own memories back. And I could remember a split after the mission. Since it feels weird. I feel like I'm coexisting in this body with myself. And that says a lot. I mean, my combat styles, my combat experience, everything I know. And then Night City and a lot of other stuff. I feel good, man. Huh? You do? Oh, yeah. Like I've drinking a bucket of adrenaline every day. Jesus, dude. Huh. Sorry. It's, it's hard to get used to. I mean, you guys are probably gonna have a weird time with your memories, though. Oh, yeah. There is that. Hmm? There's what? The fact that I'm technically married to Bakugo. Oh, so those photos. Right, I completely forgot about that. How do you forget about it? I've been thinking about it a lot. You have. Yeah, yeah. And right now, I'm not too sure what to even say. Now, Bakugo should get out of the shower. And after going to her room to get dressed, there actually is when Deku does get to hop in the shower as well. And right now, he does get to so much reflect on everything he has seen. And a lot of the stuff that has gone through his mind. Okay, so he needs to get his story straight. And, well, yeah. Get his head on straight too. Okay, so memories of this world. Him and Bakugo, they can look into a few things. It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, they should have boxes of stuff with memories inside of it, right? I mean, knickknacks and souvenirs. Plus even the wedding photos. Deku can vividly remember it. the smell in the air, everyone in attendance, and the kiss. That feels the most vivid in his mind. Deku bringing his hand up and running his fingers across his lips. So one thing about it, the kiss, it feels so natural, so comforting and, well, relaxing. And Deku, he finds it to be strange. Okay, so reality has come to a point where he's not too sure what's real and what's not. And right now, he's in another world where aliens try to kill humanity, and he's fallen in love with his best friend's doppelganger. Okay, so that's a lot to unpack there. Now, Deku, he's trying to think about everything. And after he does get a shower, he does get dressed. As, while all four of them are sitting down to eat dinner, Deku, he doesn't really talk. More or less, he does gobble down a lot of the food they made. And after Bakugo and Izumi, both of the two do watch these two basically just devour plates, there is where they do decide to start talking. And Izumi, she does immediately go to mention the Black Lake. And that does immediately go to catch Deku off guard. Him almost choking on some meat, as they go to somewhat spit it out and then go to look up towards her. Okay, how do you know about that? Know about? You know about it? Yeah, I do. Okay, okay. Let me just think for a second. Alright, this is gonna sound weird and strange, so just bear with me a minute. Now, Deku, he spills the beans. The entire situation. And right now the two, they find that to be both egotistical and sound like a bunch of bullshit. So, a version of himself that has godlike powers. Is that the reason for all of this? Is that the reason why they were pulled out of time and thrown through different worlds? For some version of themselves who are, what, omnipotent beings? No. Izumi and Bakugo, that explanation sounds like complete bullshit. And it sounds like just an excuse for Deku's mind. Deku, from what they understand, it could have been caused by him killing the other version of himself or watching him die. I mean, all the other timelines they've been through, it's not surprising that one of them are finally going to fucking lose some mental shit, right? I mean, the delusions of being a god, that puts Deku in control. So, it's somewhat easy to understand and rationalize. Izuku, he's losing control of his own mind because he isn't able to control his own body, nor exactly explain why they are jumping through different realities. Now, there is actually Katsuki, who she has to somewhat stand up for Izuku and talk about how it does explain some certain shit, right? What do you mean? Okay. So, it explains a lot. Like, think about this. How are we jumping through different realities? We haven't found a clear-cut explanation for that. And then there's also the fact that this happened to them first. They jumped into our reality, and then we started to jump through realities with them. So it means that our realities, they clashed, and then we jumped again. Besides, I mean, doesn't it make sense? It would give reason to why it's happening. Why we were selected. And, well, I don't fully believe it, but it has its own reasons. Besides, we're being randomly thrown into different realities with no explanation. This doesn't sound at all reasonable or rational, but after all the shit we've seen, can we really exclude this explanation? Okay, fine. Let's say for a nanosecond that it's real. What do we do then? We just ask the gods to stop? I don't think that would actually work. Now, Deku, he does gotta bring his hands up and smash them down to the table, talking about how he knows what he saw. And the moment he does, there's actually a bit of a problem. He does watch as his coffee cup falls over. It's full of a drink. Now, it does fall over. However, the moment it does get a reset. As whenever it went to go fall off of the table and onto the ground to directly smash, it reformed onto the table. And this was odd. Since Deku, he looked down towards the ground before going to look back towards the table. And seeing it just reform there. Guys? What the hell was that? You all felt that too, right? You all saw that, right? I did. I did too. Yeah, that was weird. Now, Bakugo, he is staring at the glass. As he is going to bring up his left hand and he's going to push his cup over. And it is going to fall and hit the ground. As all four of them, they do go to stare at that for a minute, before the three do go to look at Bakugo. And Bakugo, he does go to shrug his hands, talking about how he thought that it would happen for that glass too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad, but that was real, right? I saw it. Yeah, we all saw that. And that only happened after we started talking about that stuff. So, does it give credence to it or no? Now, the three, they do all look at Izuku. I mean, what sounds crazier here? The idea that this is all random? Or the idea of a different version of one of them doing this to them? I mean, being that powerful, that aware of things they couldn't even begin to fathom, it sounds so crazy. And it sounds, well, quite frankly, interesting as well. Now, the four, they do go to split up. Right now, Izumi and Bakugo, they need to think about this all. And right now, the two are doing that. As they're doing that out front. And right now, out back, there actually is Izuku and Bakugo. And both the two, they're outside. And they are somewhat talking. I mean, those two, they need time to process that. Time to understand what that might mean if it's true. And then there actually is Izuku and Bakugo, who right now, they do get to somewhat talk. They're sitting down outside, and they're looking up at the stars. It seems so weird to think about. This world is the only one out there alive. In their world, they didn't know about aliens at all. But here they're real. And they're trying to kill them. Well, certainly interesting. Now, the two are both talking. And right now, Izuku and Bakugo, they're trying to think about how this is going to go. I mean, if they do start a relationship, and I mean start a relationship, what does that even mean? I mean, granted, Deku, he thinks that this might actually somewhat work. I mean, they might get split up at one point, but they will reunite, right? I mean, they've done so far. And then there's also the idea that if this does happen, it's gonna be weird to interact with the other Bakugo. And right now, Bakugo, she is actually having some thoughts. They jump through different worlds together. And there's even one thought that does actually run through both of their mind. However, they're trying not to think about it. since technically, they're both looking at each other, and having the same thought run through their minds at the exact same time. This isn't their version of their best friend. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.